Hi everybody, just a quick update video here. I wanted to talk about something other than specifically repairing the car. When you're buying a classic car or an old project car like this, one of the things you got to keep in mind is don't trust even sometimes what you see with your own two eyes. This car had a brand new master cylinder put on it not too long ago. I got a receipt for it, and it's plainly a new master cylinder when you look at the car. And some of the front brake parts were replaced, but I don't think anything much was done to the back, although there are some metal lines that were replaced. I checked the fluid on this the other day, and the brakes were working here, just driving it around the driveway. So I pulled it in the shop. And the brake master cylinder was all but empty. So had I kept driving this thing with the belief that the new master cylinder was working perfectly, we would have ran out of brake fluid very likely and lost brakes. And on a car like this, that's no small thing. So you want to check all that stuff. Even if you think you know it's going to be new good parts. Going further, this car, when I was looking at things on it, the radiator wasn't full. Replacement radiator. It also was only filled with water and had no coolant in it at all. Now the seller did tell me that that was the case, but had I just bought this and not been advised of that and hadn't thought to look in there, I could have let this thing sit with just the water in it until the cold weather hit, and then it would have frozen and possibly damaged the engine block. So that would be bad. So those two fluids were low. The brand new battery in the car, not held in by anything other than the cables. There's another thing that I commonly see on old cars, not even old cars, is that people don't have proper battery tie downs in. And that's no small thing. If that battery can slide and fall off the tray or what have you, it can short out inside the engine bay and cause an electrical fire. The gas tank, again, replaced. I don't know how long ago. It still looks fairly new, but it's probably been in there for maybe 5 years or possibly even longer. The gas that was in it, as you will see in the upcoming video, horrible, old, and there was nearly a full tank of gas in it, and the smell was just incredible. It filled the garage because the gas cap on this thing, the seal's bad. Like most of these Falcon gas caps don't seal very well. So all of the fluids in this car were either low or suspect. So don't assume anything. Check it out for yourself. If you're not mechanically savvy, take somebody with you when you go to look at these cars for sale. Make sure that they are knowledgeable and have mechanical ability and can look at some of this stuff for you and tell you if these various systems are in good working order or not. So just a quick video, something I found. I wanted to make note of it and let you all know about it. Stay tuned for more repairs as we proceed on. Thanks for watching. Gas that was in the brand new tank, or nearly new tank, it was probably about 8 to 9 gallons. And it stinks to high heaven, as you can imagine, but luckily the new fuel tank has a drain on it, so we drain this out. Tested for lawnmowers, I do believe. I figured you might want to see what the inside of the engine looks like. I didn't really cover that in the last video, so we'll do a close-up here. The odometer currently shows 23,000 miles. I'm sure that went around once based on the registration information I have of this car. It previously had less than that, so I think the odometer is working and probably accurate. It's probably 123,000. But we don't know for sure. But as you can see, it's dirty, but it's not really heavily sludged. I mean, there's a little bit more in the back here, but overall, it's kind of what I expected to see, and actually maybe not even as bad as I was expecting to see. So we're going to try to do a bore scope on this thing and see what the inside looks like. And here are the spark plugs that came out, and you'll notice that 2 of them are not the same. They're from a different set. I think they might actually be older, judging by the logo on, but they are all Autolite number 46s. And number 1's at the left, And we go back through, and most of them, I mean, there looks like there might be some oil on there, but they're also, you know, fuel soaked, which I expected because the carb was a mess. So I'm probably going to replace these and put a fresh set in. Well, I think it's called Project Creep. Things have gotten a little out of control, as you can see. So the head is off, and had to go to the machine shop to get the broken bolts removed. That was a $180 cost to do that and have heel coils put in. They were really a mess. I'm glad I did that instead of trying to do it here with it in the car. And we'll go have a look at the head now. Got the cylinder head back from the machine shop, and I asked them to do the bare minimum on this because, again, this is intended to be a temporary measure having the 200 in the car. But he did give it a bath, and in looking at it suggested that I go ahead and do the valve seals because they were literally rock hard and falling out apart and coming right out of the springs. So we're going to do that, clean up the valves, get the carbon off of them, that sort of thing. I have the push rods out, of course, gave them a rudimentary cleaning. I mean, they're certainly not clean, but they're at least not gummed up anymore. See if we can show you the repairs on the studs here. So we had that one, it's got a heel coil, and this one also was a problem. The guy at the machine shop, my friend Alex, said they were very, very uncooperative. So he spent quite a bit of time on that, making it as it should be. I also took the thermostat and the housing off there, and it wasn't too cruded up in there. A little rusty, but not bad. Got a little bit of debris. The housing isn't all white powder, which is nice. This doesn't look like it's been off in a really long time. And this thermostat, I don't know if it should be partly open like that. I'm thinking not. It should be fully closed. So it was time to replace this anyway. I mean, just looking at it, it's time for a new one. So. All right, so we also got in the choke thermostat, $10 shipped on eBay to replace our bent and mangled one. Carburetor is otherwise hopefully ready to go with a new fuel filter on it. We did get the exhaust manifold. I decided to go with a stock manifold. I know it's going to be a big disappointment to some of you, but again, this is a temporary measure. I didn't want to spend money on dual exhaust conversion for a 6-cylinder and then have to do it all over again when the time came to put in the Windsor. So that was $115 shipped to my door, I believe, from a place in Maryland on another eBay purchase. So today's project is going to be replacing those valve seals in the head, cleaning the valves up and just getting that all ready. I'm waiting for a head gasket. Incredibly, my local Napa store has not been, not that they haven't been helpful, but they haven't been able to supply the parts easily. They have some of the stuff would have had to have been ordered, and there would have been shipping costs involved. And based on that, as much as I love my local Napa people, decided to go ahead and get the stuff from Rock Auto, since I had to wait for it anyway. So we got a lot of things coming from Rock Auto, a bunch of gaskets, transmission filter kit, and some other stuff. I don't even remember what all I ordered, but waiting for that to come in. So not sure when that's going to be, probably middle of this coming week. It's currently the weekend. So I'm going to try cleaning this up, getting the original head gasket still there. And you can tell this is factory because it has the part number still on it. So this engine very likely has never been apart. And that wouldn't surprise me with one of these 6s. These things are pretty durable. But in looking at the cylinder bores, You know, there's some wear there. I'm not seeing any really clear cross hatching, so I think the borders are probably worn. There's a little bit of rust staining here you can see in certain spots and some scratch marks, which is to be expected. But some of the rust stains are probably from when it was parked for so long and the pistons were in various positions. So the lower half, I mean, if I was going to keep the 240, obviously this would be the time to throw some new rings and rod bearings in it, but I'm not going that far with it right now. I just don't see the point. She wasn't blowing smoke that I could see when I was running it previously. I think the replacing of the valve seals will probably help with some of this oil consumption that's visible in the cylinders. So we'll see how that all works out. Again, nothing against a 6-cylinder. Good workhorse engines, very economical to run, very easy to work on. I mean, these things are super simple. If I was to keep it, I would recommend probably maybe getting rid of the carburetor, the 1100 auto light that it came with, and putting something else on. The big thing to get rid of then would also be this distributor, because the vacuum advance system on it is very bizarre, and it only works with that carburetor. You have to read up on that online if you want to know more. I can't even begin to explain how that works, but yeah, there's some improvements that would have to be made there, I think. But for now, we're going to try to utilize everything from 1966 and just rock on as it was, and be able to drive this car around and enjoy it in the meantime before we go down the Windsor route. So, more to come. All right, we got all the valves out of the head and all the springs and so forth off, and I wanted to show you these valve stem seals. They go on the engine like this, and here's a sample of one that's disintegrated, as you can see, and these should be pliable, and this is junk. They should be like this, where you can just press on them and they're flexible. So these are what all of these look like as they're coming out. They're just falling out in pieces mostly. So these couple were still intact, but not really doing anything. As you can tell, this one doesn't even have the top on it anymore. So time for those to be done. And what we're doing here is just taking the valves and wire wheeling off the accumulated carbon and gunk from the stems. And you might find that when you remove these, you have to do it at the top to get them out through the guides. You don't want to force them through. One of these actually needed to be filed a little bit because I think it had mushroomed just a bit in the top and it was too tight. But so we're going to clean these up, and then I think I'll relap these, and I got the compound to do it, so just give them a quick lap job. It certainly can't hurt. And then reassemble. So how do you know that your valves are still the original ones? They say FOMOCO. By the way, this is the eBay purchased choke thermostat, and you can tell the difference here in the spring between the new one and the old one. This one is junk. The choke thermostat, interesting thing about this, it was labeled as only fitting, I think, 68 and 9 or 66 and 7 or something. I don't remember. But I saw it listed, and I went ahead and I Googled this part number for Tomco, and I found a Tomco parts catalog online and was able to confirm that that part number fits all of the 6 cylinders in the 1960s with the 206 and 176. So if you use a little Google foo, you'll be able to find some of these bargain parts that people aren't necessarily sure what they fit. This thing was $10 shipped to my door, so it's cheaper than going to the parts store. I think it was going to be 15 or 20 bucks plus another $12 shipping to get it here. So that was a good savings there. So we're going to put that guy on. That's new old stock, and hopefully that'll solve that problem.